Well, hello there. I'm Gemini. There was a time, and it wasn't that long ago, when certain skills made you genuinely rare. Your ability to do something specific, something complex, that was a direct signal of your professional value. The whole equation was pretty simple, really. If it was difficult and not many people could do it, you could command a premium.
Just think about some of these premium capabilities. Writing a really sharp strategic brief, building an intricate financial model completely from scratch, or producing clean, original code. These weren't just bullet points on a resume, right? They were markers of deep expertise, things you built over years. And their value came directly from the fact that they were just plain hard to master.
But that brings up a really fundamental and, let's be honest, kind of uncomfortable question. What happens when the very scarcity that made those skills valuable starts to, evaporate? What happens when these incredibly powerful new tools can help millions of people perform competent, even impressive versions of those exact same tasks almost instantly?
What we're all witnessing right now is a classic economic process. It's called commoditization. It's that precise moment when something that was once unique and differentiated becomes common, almost interchangeable. The market completely shifts its focus. It stops asking, who can do this, and starts asking, okay, who can do this for the best price? And when that happens, the unique value erodes, and proving you're different becomes a whole lot harder. Now let's be absolutely clear about something. This is not another "your job is going to be replaced" conversation. This is something much more subtle, and honestly, much more widespread. This is about abundance. It's not that your skill suddenly becomes worthless, it's that the supply of that skill in the market just explodes. And basic economics tells us exactly what happens next.
So, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at exactly how scarcity created professional value in the first place. Then, we're going to dive into the AI engine that's driving this new era of abundance. After that, we'll follow the money, so to speak, and see where value is moving. And we'll wrap up with the most important part, how you can actually build real differentiation in this new world.
All right, first up, scarcity and value. Let's really dig into the economics of what made a skill a premium asset to begin with. For decades, the value of these kinds of professionals was their economic moat, that unique ability to do something very few others could pull off. Like the strategy consultant who could take a chaotic mess of information and synthesize a clear path forward, or the analyst who could painstakingly build those massive financial models by hand. That was their defensible territory.
But let's stress test that old model just for a second with a simple question. Think about your own day-to-day work. Is the ability to produce a high-quality first draft of an email, a report, even a creative pitch, is that as rare and difficult as it was just 5 years ago? I think for most of us, the answer is a pretty clear and resounding no.
This shows a world that basically existed yesterday. A world where skills like baseline coding, research synthesis, and strategic writing all had a super high scarcity index. But is that still true today? Is summarizing a dense academic paper or generating some boilerplate code really the high-value, time-consuming task it used to be? The ground has literally already shifted right under our feet.
And here's the absolute kicker. When the scarcity of a skill disappears, its pricing power almost always follows it right out the door. It's a fundamental law of economics. When something becomes easy to find, easy to do, it becomes a whole lot harder to charge a premium for it. And that's not a judgment on quality. It's just how the new market works.
So what in the world is driving this massive shift? Well, that brings us right to our second section, the new abundance engine, and how AI is the main catalyst here, commoditizing these professional skills at an incredible rate.
Let's just use strategic writing as a perfect example. A few years ago, creating a structured outline, drafting the initial content, then tweaking its tone for different audiences, those were all time-consuming specialist tasks. Today, AI models from places like OpenAI and Anthropic can do highly competent versions of all of that in seconds for millions of us all at the same time.
And you see the exact same thing happening in software development. The scarce skill used to be staring at a blank screen and writing elegant code to solve a problem. Now, tools like GitHub Copilot are basically a powerful partner. They suggest code, they help you spot bugs, they build out the initial structure for you. And the outcome? The execution of writing code is becoming way, way more abundant.
And of course, analysis is following the same pattern. All those once premium cognitive tasks, like spotting patterns in a giant sea of data or generating possible future scenarios, they're now powerfully augmented. AI tools can surface insights that used to take hours of deep manual work, which makes sophisticated analysis more accessible than it has ever been.
So this brings us right back to that core economic question, doesn't it? If millions of professionals now have tools that let them generate competent, often high-quality work, what happens to the premium value that used to be attached to being one of the very few who could do it?
Okay, and this right here is probably the single most important distinction you need to grasp. Skill replacement means the skill is obsolete. Its value is just gone. Think of a switchboard operator. But skill commoditization is totally different. The skill is still necessary, but it becomes abundant. So the premium you can charge for it erodes. The focus isn't on the skill disappearing. It's on its scarcity vanishing into thin air.
So, if the value is draining away from these execution-level tasks, where is it actually going? That's what we're tackling in Section 3, where value moves next. We have to follow the migration of scarcity.
This is where the new opportunity is hiding. Value is shifting up the stack, moving away from execution and toward judgment. The commoditized layer is all about doing things, generating slides, writing a basic prompt, summarizing research. But the scarce layer, the place where the premium still lives, is about judging. It's not just about making slides, it's about influencing an audience with a powerful story. It's not about just prompting, but having the wisdom to frame the right problem to begin with.
And this really forces a critical moment of self-assessment, doesn't it? Ask yourself, are you focused on building skills that AI just amplifies, making you faster at something that's quickly becoming common? Or are you intentionally building the capabilities that AI really struggles to commoditize? Things like strategic judgment, creative problem framing, and earning genuine human trust.
This all leads us to our final and most critical section, redefining your differentiation. This isn't just some theory. This is a new mandate for every single professional out there.
For our entire careers, we've been programmed to ask, what skills do I have? But that question is becoming dangerously outdated. The new, much more important question is, which of my skills actually remain scarce when everyone has an AI assistant on their team? Your list of skills might be long, but I'm willing to bet your list of scarce skills is shrinking fast.
So, the new premium capabilities, they look really different. Value is moving to orchestration over just doing. That's knowing which tools to use for which problems and in what specific sequence. It's about discernment over raw execution, the ability to look at 5 AI-generated options and know why only one of them is strategically sound. And it's about differentiated thinking that connects ideas in a novel way that an AI, trained on existing data, just can't replicate.
This brings us to a tough but really necessary question you have to ask yourself. Right now, at this moment, are you spending all your energy defending a territory, a specific skill that is quickly just becoming common ground for everyone?
Or are you actively and intentionally building a capability that is literally engineered to stay rare? One that's rooted in judgment, in synthesis, in unique human connection. The very things that are the absolute hardest to turn into a simple commodity.
You know, maybe the biggest threat from AI isn't that it's going to destroy your skills. The more subtle and, frankly, far more profound challenge is that it might simply make your hard-won skills available to everyone. And when that happens, well, that changes everything.